Second time here. Keith Smith, freshly haircutted.
Yeah, actually, I got it for the show on Friday.
Yeah.
You didn't notice.
Well, okay, well, you're looking sharp.
You didn't notice.
This is the Monday Market Monitor.
Yeah.
And it's presented by Closure Title. We'll start the program in about 45 seconds or so.
Don't ask me to say that 3 times fast.
Monday Market Monitor.
Monday Market Monitor.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Triple M.
There you go, Triple M. Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
Yankees
nice,
tend to swallow their M's, so we'll see how that goes. No, look, we've been getting a lot of feedback. You know, that the second part of this name is AKA, so what's going on in the market.
Yeah.
And the market's been changing pretty rapidly, and we came up with this idea of doing this Monday market monitor on it. We're going to take a look at kind of what's went on the last 7 days. And then you've started this conversation, and I kind of wanted to you got me thinking about it.
Sure.
I wanted to wrap around. We're going to dive into like 3 gated communities.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of find out what's going on there. Those 3 gated communities is Glenmore, Spring Creek, and Lake Monticello. And take a look at what's been going on between 2021 through 18. It's some interesting numbers that we've been crunching.
The fabulous Quentin Beckham is watching. He says hello from Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, nice.
Get on that bike.
Quentin, we did not think you would mind if we did this. We are live streaming to your personal Facebook page, QB. We thought you would be okay with that, but I'm kind of, I guess, saying I hope you're okay.
Thank you.
We're doing it. So how are you feeling before we start the show, Nikki?
Oh, I feel great. I'm so happy to be back.
It's great to have you.
Thanks.
It's great to have you.
Look at that smiling face.
I know. She knows her stuff. She looks great. I'm going to spend an hour or so having fun and talking a thing we're passionate about, which is helping people in real estate. It's going to be a good show. Judah Wickower, we're in your hands. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Monday Market Monitor, a sister brand to Real Talk here on the I Love Seville Network, a brand new show on our network, in fact. And today we're going to reflect and analyze and give you perspective on the market that was the past 7 days here in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and across Central Virginia. The Monday Market Monitor presented by Closure Title. Closure Title opened in 2007 by folks with experience in lending, in title insurance, and settlement services, and folks with a realtor background. It's locally owned and operated. Closure Title has 2 offices in Charlottesville and Stanton, 3 licensed title insurance agents, and 5 closers on staff. Closure Title, the presenting sponsor of the Monday Market Monitor. Judah Wickower is our director. Why don't we go to the studio camera and welcome the distinguished gentleman and the fabulous Nikki Chambliss. How are you, Nikki?
I'm doing great today. I'm really excited to be here.
It's great to have you.
Look at that smile.
Looks great.
Looks great.
I'm well caffeinated.
I'm happy about it. As you were doing the intro, this is like we're together like 3 days a week now.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So how do you feel about that?
I feel great. I feel absolutely great. Quint says he's going to get on the bike. He's enjoying the show.
There you go. So again, I just wanted to give a super thank you out to Closure Title. You know, our business, we talk about this all the time on Real Talk. You know, it's all about relationships, and they're very relationship driven, and they're problem solvers, which is what we all do for a living. So since this is a new show, and we have a new person's part of the set, we're going to let Nikki introduce herself a little bit.
Oh, goodness.
Nitty-gritty.
Well, I'm Nikki Chambliss. Let's see, what do you guys want to know? I am part of the amazing Keller Williams Alliance, and I am quite thrilled to be their interim team leader right now. I love real estate, long walks on the beach, motorcycling.
Helping people?
Being here with Jerry and Keith.
That's what you should have started with. I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry. Okay, next time. All right.
So you're a motorcycle.
I
was going to say something, but I figured
I
was going to say something else.
Motorcyclist.
Motorcyclist. There you go.
There we go.
So
Thank you, Nikki.
what do you have?
I have a Triumph Bonneville.
Ooh,
I have
cool.
2012 SE,
Uh-huh.
which is a little sportier, but still quite traditional with the Bonnie.
Sure. What
nice
year?
British bikes, 2012.
Do you
but
ride it
Triumph, oh, not often enough. But I'm working on it
Cool.
tomorrow.
Good for you. So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to start off, right?
All
So what normally we have in Paragon, we have what's called the Monday a market monitor. So I kind of took a look at what was going on in the last seven days. This is kind of what I kind of felt that this would be a good place to start. I was looking over the weekend, do we start from Wednesday to Sunday? So I just basically did Sunday to Sunday, and it's pretty interesting. We've been talking about this on the other shows, but I kind of wanted to explore it a little bit more. The market's starting to change a little bit, right? It's starting to feel like it's changing. We're starting to get a little bit more inventory come up, and it looks like homes are going into pending. And I'm looking at a number here, which was super interesting. I just bounced it past you for your read on this, Nikki. Last Sunday, there was 21 open houses. This time last year, there was 0. So do you think open houses are coming back?
Of course they're coming back. Of course they're coming
Duh.
back.
I know.
Duh.
I mean, they are.
Well,
they
tell
are.
me how you feel about it.
Well, I think a lot of people are feeling better. We've got especially here in Charlottesville, we've got a huge portion of our population
Vaccinated.
that's out there and vaccinated. And so we're just kind of, a little cautiously, but getting back out there and figuring out what life is going to be right now.
You should tag Jesse Rutherford, because you know who number one is?
Nelson County.
Nelson County.
That's right.
For
Nelson
real.
County.
I did not know that.
In the state.
Wow.
Number 1 in vaccination in the state. So old Nelson County is knocking it out of the ballpark.
That is amazing.
It's increasing in sales. They've got fiber, broadband, and the
Boy, do
most
they.
vaccinated number of percentage-wise of folks in the state of Virginia. It's pretty interesting. You would never think it, but it's absolutely true. So we had 63 in the 7 days. We had 63 homes come on the market.
Yes.
Only 68 went pending, and only is kind of a unique thing to say, right?
It is, right?
Because it was very different on that. And so, any thoughts on that, Nikki, on what you were thinking for why this is starting to balance out a little bit?
Well, I think there are 2 parts to that, right? And one, I think we're going to touch on a little bit with some information you shared from Lisa, so I won't dive into that. But
Sure.
Part 2 is, last year we didn't have a normal real estate year. It just went nonstop. There was no break, there was no breathing.
Sure.
This year, we're getting back to a little bit of a normal flow, if we could call this year anything close to normal, right? Within what it has been, we're getting into just a little bit of normalcy here.
So you would characterize potentially 2021 as an anomaly as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So 2020
Absolutely.
and 2021 anomalies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little later in the show, we're going to focus on some gated communities and some numbers. And when we start talking about those numbers, I related them. I compared them to 18 and 19,
Nice.
particularly 18. I kind of needed to get away from the 2021 kind of scenario and kind of saying, and when we get to it, some of it's going to be earth-shattering, particularly in Glenmore. It's
yes.
pretty earth-shattering, but
I'd say it's the hottest neighborhood in Central Virginia.
it is. It's interesting.
Certainly the neighborhood that did the biggest 180 in Central Virginia.
That I would agree with. Biggest one, and you'll see the numbers when you get there. But all the gated, and you gave me this idea to focus on. All the gated communities have been growing, and it's.
You know why that is?
Well, I was just going to ask you why you think that is.
Yeah. Amenities, things to do outside, hiking trails, tennis, golf, swimming pools, COVID activities that are safe, that are outside the house.
I agree with you, but I want to see what Nikki thinks.
Well, I think Lake Monticello is a great example. When we get to this data, you're going to see, but it has lakes, it has the neighborhood feel. People don't realize how huge that community is. It's really large. And it's been one of those neighborhoods that's in a price range that for a lot of people, it makes it the perfect place to be. I lived there when I first moved to Central Virginia, so.
Well, I'm a little bit jaded to that. I've been living there since 1987.
Oh, okay, that's right, you do.
But do you know why, in my opinion, Glenmore, and particularly Spring Creek,
Sure,
is
tell me.
blowing up? It's where the dirt is.
Yeah.
It's where the new construction is going. It's where the
You've got
lot
lots.
inventory the lot inventory is what you talked about is exactly right. But when we get to looking at the numbers for Spring Creek,
What's the new construction, though, in Glenmore over the last 12 months? I mean,
well, I
you
can.
got less than 10 units being constructed over the course of a year.
No. So
New
well,
units, new construction.
I can tell you currently because I ran the numbers for current. I didn't run what was sold for that, but currently, right now, what's pending?
Yeah.
There's
This is new construction only.
no. There's a
Okay.
total of 40 units pending. 30 of them are new construction.
Okay.
So there's only 10 current pending right now.
Yeah.
So there's only 10 that are existing. There's 30 of them that are under new construction. I didn't dig into the sold end of it, but I suspect you'll see a lot of that was in that, and it's because of and it's limited to two builders. It's Craig and Stanley Martin out in that back section, but it's the same thing pretty much going on with Spring Creek. Spring Creek has 23 pending, 13 of them are new construction on that end of it. So that's what's happening. And Spring Creek's you know how I feel about Zion Crossroads,
you love
right?
it.
I love it. Here's what I think is going to happen at Glenmore. I think you're going to see the volume take a step down a little bit because as far as the new construction component, they're running out of lots.
Sure.
Right. Spring Creek's a little different. They have another 600 lots to give.
Get out of town.
Right. So
That's a lot of lots.
There's a lot of lots. There's more builder choice.
When they're positioned in so many of those in-betweens, so all these people who are still working remotely and want to, you're close to Richmond, you're close to Charlottesville, you can hit all sorts of roads and head to Northern Virginia if that's where you're commuting from.
Sure.
It gives some options.
So I'm taking a client out to there this afternoon that we couldn't find what we wanted in Glenmore. We couldn't find what we wanted in Crozet at the price points that this particular buyer wanted to be at. And that's where we're going to be looking this afternoon because the inventory is there. The price point is there.
What, 450 to 650?
It's something like that. That's exactly right. And the little difference out there is there's some attached product which Glenmore doesn't really have on that end of it. So you're going to start seeing that. And this particular client is making a huge mental shift on what is out there. Because now she wants new construction, right? So there's certain things that she wants. It needs to be master bedroom on the first floor, you know.
You got a Stanley Martin product in Glenmore. I mean, what is that, 815 price point?
Yeah, and that's
a little ceiling for her.
That's the issue. It with an 8 in it becomes a problem.
Sure.
On that end of it. So out there you can get something with the 4 or a 6 in front
Spring
of
Creek.
it. Exactly right.
You know, there's getting a lot of neighborhoods are getting cold called knocks on the door.
I know.
Yes.
I mean, like strangers knocking on your door.
And so, what do you think about that
Which
as a
part?
real estate agent?
We just went from cold calling to...
Cold calling. Sorry.
No, well-
knocking on the door.
Oh, I've always offered that. When I work directly with buyers, they always know I'm willing to do whatever it takes to find them their home. And I have. I've looked up people's phone numbers and called up and said, hey, this family used to live here. If you guys ever wanted to sell, they would be interested in buying it back. Or, hey, do you like this neighborhood? I'll send out letters. I'll knock on doors and just be like, hey, you're thinking about selling. But it's when I actually have buyers looking.
Sure.
It's not some technique. It's actually helping buyers find the house they want.
So Glenmore.
What do you think of that? I mean, you didn't give your opinion. That's rare that you don't give your opinion to something after you ask the question. He's not a fan of this, Nikki. Can you tell?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We spend way too much
That's what
time.
it is. He's not a fan of the cold call knock, are you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Only because I had it happen to me. It's kind of awkward as the person who owns the property, right? It's
So
kind
you open the door in your boxers. You're like, what are you doing?
boxers. Where's boxers? What are you talking about? You're knocking on my door. But I've had that happen to me multiple times, so it's kind of an awkward thing. So I kind of try to put myself in, and I get it. You know, we want to help our clients, do everything we can for our client, and there's this kind of privacy line that I feel that we need to be very careful of. That's my pushback on it. I've just literally had people knock on my door and say that, and then I say, you want to go in the basement, will you? Shh, my wife's listening. Shh, my wife's listening. So there's an inside joke here.
Okay.
Yona wants to sell the house. I want to keep it, our current home. So when somebody's knocking on the door, I kind of go, yeah. It's Avon. It's Avon.
Oh my gosh.
And she's probably watching because she's on the train.
Most likely.
On the train. Glenmore.
Yeah, let's do it.
January 1 to August 1. 63 units were sold.
Okay.
8 days on market.
Okay. January 1 to August 1.
8 days on market.
Okay.
That's median. What do you think the median sales price is?
I have an idea. What do you think?
Don't make me guess. I don't like guessing, guys.
It's got a 7 in front of it.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That was a huge tip right
I'm trying to help her out.
Listen.
This is her first show.
I know.
I was a little worried. I said,
That was
how's
my
Nikki?
edge there.
How is Nikki gonna deal with the Keith and
You guys? Oh, I've so got
Yeah,
this.
Dealing
I've
with
got
it
this.
great. I know you do. What do you think, Nikki? What do you think that number is?
Oh, yeah, I hate guessing.
This was a
so I'm
test
just
if you
going to
read my
go in the
email.
middle, 750. Let's do that. I didn't look at all the numbers.
789?
Yeah.
Ah.
So, 2020, just that was down to 687.
All right.
It jumped $102,000.
You should look at 2019, 2018.
I am because
Yeah.
I did the numbers. So let's just jump back out for 2018. Interesting. Only 40 units sold. 88 days on market.
Yeah.
So between 18 and 2021, that was 80 days difference. It's on the market 80 days less. It was 80 days more on that. 620. Difference of $169,000. So if you bought a house in Glenmore in 2018, your value has went up that much. But a lot of it is that new construction didn't ramp up in 18, started ramping up in 19 and kind of 20. And that's, if you take a deep dive into it, I didn't bring the specific numbers to it. A lot of it is that new construction cost going up.
Well, Stanley Martin makes such a fabulous product. We love
Does,
Stanley Martin.
without a doubt.
And Stanley Martin's product in this particular neighborhood, Glenmore, is trading with an 8 or above on it.
Yep.
So that's rising
Everybody
all
else.
the existing
Everybody else.
product up.
Well, the thing about Glenmore, which is, I mean, we mentioned this before. I actually built the first house there.
First one ever?
Ever. The very first house there I built.
Before Frank Kessler?
No. When Frank Kessler was there, I had to go to an interview with Frank Kessler, right? He had to approve the set of plans. We put a house up in there when they were literally building the roads, the main entrance where the gate is, the current
So
gate.
off Darby.
Nice.
Off Darby. But the
Darby
first,
Road.
I can't remember.
First right is Darby.
Yeah, the first. Anyway, so
Finishing your sentences again.
thank you.
I know.
Hey, Nikki, how you doing?
I'm good. One day, too, I aspire to finish
but
sentences.
the thing about Glenmore, from my perspective, is it's pretty widespread in value, right? You can go from 800 to whatever. Lake Monticello is very similar too, by the way.
Yes. And people don't realize that, I don't think.
Well, yeah, waterfront lots, homes, obviously, golf course.
Golf course.
The Acres, which is the development I built, is a little up there, but there's
Gives
this
that
huge.
higher range.
There's a huge spread on that. So Lake Monticello, you want to do that, guys?
Sure.
So it's kind of two ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
Same timeline, January through August, 265, 206 units sold, 5 days on market. Jumped to 2018, 179 sold, 31 days on the market, 215. It's a split of 50 grand.
All right.
So if you bought a house in 2018 in Lake Monticello, you've kind of gained about 50 grand in that. Interesting thing, limited new construction, except for one builder,
Who's the builder?
Liberty.
Liberty. Okay. And I would say, and you jump in here, Nikki. Lake Monticello, one of the few bastions of affordable single-family detached housing stock.
Yes.
In Central Virginia.
Without a doubt. Absolutely.
Close to everything.
It really is, and that's another part. Like, it's really not that far away. Not only is it really close to Charlottesville and very close to Zion Crossroads, it's got a really solid community there. You don't have to leave the area to find the things you need.
I did that for 20 years. Literally, I would get what I called Lake-itis. I would have to come into town because I needed everything you needed. 13 restaurants, a golf course, a beach. But so we know right now there's only, out of 4,300 homes, there's only 27 homes on the market.
4,300, only 27 homes on the market.
Now that's
Yes.
numbers up actually,
We're talking about half a percentage point here.
and that number's up because it was single digits not too long ago. Median list price is 279.
But you guys are at capacity. You got no new inventory coming. Very few, right? I mean, all the lots have been spoken for.
So that's what Liberty Homes does, is which no other builder does out there, is they go out and these very few lots that are left, they buy them at a relatively reasonable price by today's market standards, and they build a house. Of the 61 that are pending right now, 16 of them are new construction, compared to 30 versus 40 for Glenmore. So it's the best price point out there at the moment. It's clearly the amenities are off the charts, what you can get for the price point.
Absolutely.
Out there. Look, I live there. It takes me 25 minutes to come into town, park, and sit next to this wonderful gentleman and yourself. So.
How about you, Nikki? And Wendy says hello to you guys.
Hey,
Hello,
Wendy,
hello.
thank you.
What do you think is the hottest neighborhood in Central Virginia?
Oh gosh, hottest neighborhood?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
We'd have to define hot.
Exactly. Like, what are we calling hot?
I'm saying like transactions, days on market, price increases, pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Oh. I mean, can we just call it and say Belmont downtown area? Like,
Okay.
I mean, if based on what you just said.
Well, so of the three that we looked at, right?
Yes.
Actually, Spring Creek outperforms days on market, both Glenmore
Oh, what was
and
that
Lake
one again?
Monticello. So Spring Creek, it's not by much. Spring Creek
Okay.
has a median days on market of 4 days from January to Sunday. Lake Monticello's 5. Glenmore's up at 8. And that's the price point difference, right?
Sure.
It's making a difference, but it does beat it by a day, Spring Creek,
It makes a difference.
and it has the room to grow.
Exactly.
Which no other ones do. I mean, 600 vacant lots is a hell of a lot of new construction waiting to happen. Bless you. Strawberry.
I tried strawberry. I tried looking at the lights. I tried my 2.5 years of Jerry beating into me. That's probably the first sneeze we've ever done.
I'll tell you what, if you ever have to sneeze and you're on a TV set, you look at the lights and you say strawberries, and it goes away.
No, but now people are going to see my mouth moving and be like, oh, she's trying not to
So
sneeze.
do I?
Wait, are you going to sneeze now because he's
No, I'm good right now.
Okay.
I'm just
So I
thinking
was
of
looking at the
future.
lights, but I was thinking strawberry.
Yeah.
I actually
That's the problem. You didn't say it, my friend.
No, it was just so shocking, the potential at Spring Creek, that he just couldn't contain himself.
Yeah, something like that. No, well, it's a shout out if we can tag our dear friend Johnny Orales.
Johnny's watching.
Hey.
He just
Oh,
shared the
nice.
show.
Thank you. With El Mariachi, that is why they're so successful out there. And talk about. I think I'll twist the question Jerry asked around
Yes,
a little
please.
bit different for that. What area, right? So I'm kind of high on Zion's Crossroads.
Well, Louisa, I mean,
Okay, you still feel the same way?
yeah, I think they've been working really hard, and this isn't like a COVID thing. They've been at this for a while, and it shows.
Sure. Well, they were the first ones to get central water and sewer out there decades ago. And this divergent diamond interchange was built, 10 years ago, I guess, to handle the flow of traffic. So it's starting to go. There's going to be about another 400,000 gallons of water per day pushed up there in the next 12 to 24 months, according to my contacts at
Nice.
Louisa in Fluvanna County. So it's just going to continue to grow because it has the infrastructure there to do it. So other than that, what would be your number 2 area? Where do you think the second, in your opinion, hottest market is?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
I'm trying to think.
I'm going to go Waynesboro. I'm going to go other side of the mountain.
Well, we've been having this debate back.
Yeah.
Well, and they have been, but
Yeah.
are they going to maintain that?
Well, because you're saying fuel costs are increasing, and will that diminish or dampen demand? Is that what you're alluding to?
No, well, I mean, that's part of the conversation, but was it just for this last year and a half? Is that going to slow? Is it going to keep pushing through?
So I didn't run numbers for Waynesboro, but I will for tomorrow's show. Waynesboro is an interesting, from my perspective, an interesting market. I think both of you were 100% right. As fuel goes, right, as the economy goes, it seems that market kind of goes up and down a little bit. Areas like Lake Monticello, Zion's Crossroads, Glenmore tend to be more consistent in their valuations on that stuff and their market trends. So it'd be very interesting. That being said, I really think EVs, electric vehicles, are going to super impact that. Jerry and I have a bit of a disagreement
We
on
do.
that.
You know why? Because I think, and I'll Google it right now. Donna Patton. Hello, Donna
Hey,
Patton.
Donna.
She
Hey,
says
Donna.
Louisa is really great with the way they do things. Donna Patton, we love when you watch the program. We got folks from Real Estate 3, Nest Realty,
Nice.
our buddy Ray Cadell watching. You have a ton of your Keller Williams colleagues watching. So the EV market share, electric vehicle market share, is less than 10%.
Yeah.
And until we get a more affordable price point, and this is where you come in with the Chevy Bolt, or is it the Bolt? The Bolt?
I've changed my thinking on that,
Okay,
but go ahead.
No. I mean, I just think the market share for EVs is so slim right now that we're not going to see a dramatic impact with that changing how people buy and sell homes. Very similar to like UVA's making this commitment to affordable housing. The commitment to affordable housing is just 10 years from now where we're going to see the product.
Amen.
Like EV, we'll see it 10 years down the road.
But it's interesting. So I'm having conversations, I have to leave names out of it, but
Sure.
folks that are looking to build new gas stations. And what they're doing is they're dropping the car wash component out of it, and they're prepping for the thing. The real issue,
I wonder who those
I wonder who that might be. And, What, how did he...
Yeah,
think you just-
you got it.
But the struggle with this, after the research I've been doing, price is going to come down. It's going to come down. The technology is not quite there yet. And the technology is not quite there yet from the charging perspective. When you can get that you can charge it, and Quentin is an owner of an EV.
Oh, yeah.
When you can get it that you can charge it in 5 minutes,
Oh, gosh.
right, or 10 minutes, that technology is coming along.
Nice.
On that end of it, then it's a different thing, right? You know, and so as you're on your way home, you can get a quick charge.
Well, but for now, what would be great, instead of having charging stations at a gas station, which, yes, makes sense and will be great when it's faster, they need to be at places where you're going to sit for a little longer. So you're not just there waiting to charge. You're there shopping or eating dinner on your drive home.
Good call.
You know?
Stonefield and Barracks have them. Very good call.
And here's the other struggle with the EVs, because I'm in the market to get one. It's unlike you can go to any gas station and put any hose or nozzle in your car, right?
Yes.
Just make sure it's gas, right? If you got a gas car, not diesel. If you got a diesel car, EV's different. They're all different. They're not. It's not universal. All the way, the connectors and the way that, it's my understanding anyway, the way everything goes. So I think they've got a lot of work to do, but I think the price point's going to still drive out to Waynesboro. This particular client, I'm going out to Zion's Crossroads, wanted to go look at Waynesboro. They just didn't find a product that they liked. That's why we're going out to Crozet, because they wanted a specific type of 55 and over kind of universal design home, and it just didn't work for them. But I think you're right. I think you're going to see Zion and then Waynesboro, because the reality of it is it takes too long. Like our good friend Neil Williams says, you know, more is always better in this instance. It takes forever to get a project approved
Yes.
in Albemarle County.
Mark Lickman. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Marketing man extraordinaire. Mark Lickman, are you in Mexico ahora or are you in Fluvanna ahora? He says, does Keith have numbers for Ashcroft, the Ashcroft neighborhood?
I don't. I only picked apart
Gated communities.
gated communities. We can start, and this is what I was hoping was going to happen today. Is folks will chime in on the feed. We'll do a little bit more homework for next Monday,
Yeah.
and we'll spit some more information out. So the vision here is just try to get some information out, get kind of what's going on with some trends on that end of it.
Quentin's correcting you from Vermont.
Am I?
Quentin's correcting Keith Smith from Vermont. QB, I love you. We feel your presence in the studio and you're in Vermont. He says that's wrong, Keith.
Of course,
He
I'm
says
probably
they are all universal except for Tesla.
okay. That's the one.
Yeah, they are all universal except for Tesla. He said, on my way up north, we charged up at several sheets that had EV chargers installed. And he says, I think, Quentin Beckham, guys, I think what we are seeing is the effects of the pandemic, stimulus money, buildup of unspent disposable income, super high need for a home office. These items are slacking off. The long-term undercreation of inventory compared to housing needs, that is still there. So the wildfire is not all consuming like it was, but there are still hot spots and there is still the heat wave.
Agreed, and thank you for the correction. It was Tesla that I was thinking, I just didn't say it, that Tesla has its own connector. And the only reason I remember that is when I drive up north to go visit my daughter on 95, when you stop at the rest stations, they're all Tesla. They're all Tesla. You have to get off of 95. At least it's been my experience in driving up. Thank you, Mr. Beckham. Get on your bike.
That's why we like you, Quentin Beckham, on today's program and on the network in general. So, Nikki, let me throw this to you here.
All right.
The market heading into August, we have 2 weeks left of vacation before school starts. School starts, moms and dads at home. How do you see this market heading into September? What's your crystal ball say?
Well, so I'm hopeful that it's going to be more of that normalcy that I was talking about earlier. I'm hoping we're in a little bit of a summer lull, if we could call it that. I feel like realtors in general are feeling just a little bit of that. And I think it's going to lift back up. It's not going to be like a spring market, but I think we're just going to lift up a teeny bit before we settle into winter.
Okay. What do you think, Smith?
Yeah. Summer came early this year. The summer lull came early this year. You're just by looking at the numbers, looking at stuff that's coming on the market, inventory is picking up. We're kind of getting to a little bit of a parity between what's coming on the market and what's going off, which is a good thing. That means new units coming on is kind of close to units going pending, right? It is not this big disparity where there were 3 or 4 times going pending versus going active. But I believe that you're spot on. I think after 2 weeks, when we get to the end of August, beginning of September, we're going to see this uptick big time. Now, the 10-ton elephant in the room is the Delta variant.
Yeah, Delta variant, no doubt.
Right. We don't know what's going to happen with that. We don't know how that's going to impact it.
I think, if anything, the Delta variant is going to put more tailwinds behind real estate in this market.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think the Delta variant is going to still cause people to be, maybe we should be bunkering down a little more this winter, which is going to drive more interest into purchasing homes that have the home office, have the places for the kids to learn from a hybrid setting, the backyard for them to do stuff outside.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
But before we get too further down that road, any of these questions we're asking each other, if there's any real estate agents on there, chime in on what they think is going to happen, what they see the trend is going to go on. I'm already having this conversation with buyers. They are now, literally in the last week, have pivoted from more urban thinking back to, as you were saying, and Nikki was saying earlier, it's starting to look, well, maybe we're going to stay looking more with a little bit more room, a golf course community. That's the reason why we focused on these 3 gated communities. They have biking paths, walking paths,
Swimming pools, tennis,
Exactly.
platform, pickleball. You know what the elephant, I'm going to throw this to you. What'd you call it, the 100-ton elephant?
I said 10 ton, but you can go 100.
Okay, 100-ton elephant.
If it's Delta, let's call it
The
100.
growing elephant.
The growing elephant. So this is Bill McChenzie bringing this up on the feed. Bill McChenzie, we love when you watch the show, and you're getting props from your friends, Matthew Scott Fielding, Michael Lyle, I see six firms in Carr Real Estate watching
Nice.
Nikki Chambliss on the show right here.
Not us, it's Nikki.
Nikki Chambliss. The 10-ton elephant that I don't understand why no one's really discussing, and Bill alludes to this here, is if the city of Charlottesville is upzoned like they're talking about, what is the impact that upzoning is going to have on Albemarle County and its neighborhoods? Why are we not discussing that more?
Apparently we are now.
We've touched on it. Why
yeah.
is that not emphasized more?
Yeah, so
Are you following that?
No, yeah, I've heard you guys talking about it, and I'm catching, I'm there when I can be, right? So I've seen you guys have this conversation before, and yet it's really hard to change the conversation from Seville to the surrounding counties. Because I think the hope is that it will influence, but we really just don't know.
So why don't you do a high-level recap of what you're saying so we can bring
Yeah.
Nikki up to speed, why you think it's going to be impact on it?
Okay, so city of Charlottesville, guys, and this is going to be 30 seconds, cliff notes, and then I get out of the way. Okay, and let the experts analyze this. And Nikki, you go first here. So there's 2 seats up for grabs for city council.
Yep.
Whoever is elected on the 3rd of November, and you would think if you were a betting man that Juan Diego Wade and Nakia Walker are the favorites to get reelected, to get in those 2 open seats, then 5 people, if Wade wins and Walker wins, then you got Snook, you got McGill and Payne. Those 5 people are going to determine at the end of this year, early next year, if the city of Charlottesville is going to go through this upzoning opportunity, which would mean single-family detached homes would be able to put more housing stock on an R1 lot. The prediction, the scuttlebutt, the conversation is that this upzoning is going to drive demand to gated communities and to neighborhoods in Albemarle where the upzoning is not necessarily happening as quickly as the city of Charlottesville. People want space, they want a backyard, they may be fearful of congestion and traffic. I know what you're going to say next after the upzoning with congestion and traffic, and that could drive tailwinds to gated communities in Albemarle and neighborhoods across Albemarle County. That's it in a nutshell.
So it's not about seeing if the upzoning happens in the surrounding areas. That's where I thought you were going earlier. Okay. Well, no.
So what happened, if it happens in Charlottesville, in your opinion, will it impact positively or negatively?
I think it's going to drive prices up.
Depends on what you're considering a positive or negative impact.
In your opinion.
What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, gosh. I think there's going to be a balance because I think we've got a lot of people who would be excited to see the change and just as many who are going to be like, nah, no thank you. See ya. But I think we have a more balanced on various issues area, I think, than people realize. Because I may be over here in my thoughts, but I've got my neighbor over here who thinks the exact opposite and is going to balance out what I think about the whole deal. You know what I mean?
I do. So I think it comes back to supply and demand, right? Yes, this may change the thinking of some individuals, right? Some buyers, some sellers. But the need is so great and the lack of inventory is so small, right? Is also great. There's a lack of inventory on that. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. It'll impact some folks. I just exampled it. I got folks that are now looking out because they're a little worried about this Delta variant. So that's going to have an impact on it. But it will have an impact on it. I personally think it's going to be positive.
Okay.
We need inventory, right? We need. I mean, my God, we just looked at three bleeping subdivisions. And there's only one that's remotely affordable, and at $279, I'd argue that's not even affordable.
Yeah, 279 is.
Right?
Well, let me ask. So with this upzoning, what is that going to look like? How quickly is that going to make an impact? Because
that's the genius
right?
question.
Yeah.
A very long time.
It's going to be so slow.
So this is a conversation everybody's having. So we're at the comprehensive plan part yet, guys.
Yeah.
Right? That is probably not going to happen until first quarter.
Probably Q1.
Maybe Q2.
Yeah,
for sure.
2022.
Somewhere in middle 2022. And everybody's going to go, yay, this is done. And then we're going to go into the zoning rewrite, which is going to take God only knows how long. Right, years possibly to do that. We may end up with a whole new city council, or definitely new seats because
3 new seats.
Yeah, because 2 years from now,
Yeah.
we got 3 more folks up.
2023.
Thank you. 2023, and everything that's been working on between now and then might just go backwards because these 3 new seats say no, 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 we're not doing this, or yes, 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 and it gets expedited. But we're years out before that happens.
Jason Wyant has this comment on the feed here. Jerry, Nikki, and Keith. Giving Nikki a plug over here. Like that over there. Jerry, Nikki, and Keith. I live in Lewis Mountain. My family is already considering moving to a neighborhood where upzoning is not going to impact us. Lewis Mountain is going to be completely different if these changes go into effect. It's going to have a heck of a lot more density in a neighborhood that is otherwise very quiet. I'm following this closely.
You want to tackle it?
I think, like I said earlier, this is some people it will impact. It will impact, but that's not to be unexpected.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. This is the same kind of ongoing conversation that always has been, and I don't see how it couldn't always be.
So what they found out west, because that's where all this started from.
Rory's going to say the traffic is not really an issue.
We're going to talk about that next. But as far as increasing visual density, it really doesn't migrate to that. It's kind of like these auxiliary dwelling units, right? The lot restrictions are so variable. You know, it just didn't happen. You would drive down the street, and all of a sudden it went from, 15 single-family detached homes on the right and 15 on the left to, 40 or 50 on one side and 40 and 50. It's very what's that word I'm looking for?
Intertwined?
Interdispersed.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go.
Intertwined.
And I was like,
Intertwined
I'm
or
just going
whatever.
to throw out
Or
words
First
until
might be a
one
word you
hits.
just made up.
I think I just made that
You
up.
just made that up, yeah.
Add that one to the dictionary.
There's the dictionary according to Smith, and then there's Webster.
Yeah.
Well,
I
so-
like the Smith Dictionary.
But you're not. I would encourage folks to take a look at what's
Yeah.
happening in Minneapolis and all these different jurisdictions, and kind of look at them in relationship to your neighborhood and find out really what's happening, because these things have been going on for enough years that there is some examples that you can go take a look at.
So what I feel like I hear you saying is that maybe there's a fear of this unknown, and what we're imagining it to be is not really what it's going to look like. Am I close? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, the perception.
Yes.
Perception is reality. And Kevin, we'll get to your question.
They're not selling it right.
Grayson, we'll get to your question. They're not selling it right at all.
Yeah, it's
They're
Yeah.
not managing the perception at all.
They are not.
And the perception is that there's going to be considerably more congestion and less green space.
We'll
in
talk about
neighborhoods.
traffic, because I have a genius thought on that.
Well, Grayson wants to know, why do you think neighborhoods in Albemarle will have more momentum, and what's the impact an HOA neighborhood has from a zoning standpoint? That's right up your alley.
Yeah, so if it's got an HOA in it, it's probably not going to change. So, because an HOA is more restrictive. The city of Charlottesville, I believe, only has a couple, not a whole bunch.
Yeah, we've
We
talked about this.
You helped with this.
Yeah.
Willoughby,
Yeah.
what is it, Laughlin, and there's
Correct.
one more, and I can't remember
It
what
was
it is right now.
the one right behind Dirty Nelly's, the Stanley Martin product.
Yes.
Behind Dirty Nelly's off Stribling.
I should know it.
Drawing a blank on that. I'll
Nice.
Google it real quick.
But those
My
are
buddy told me.
those are already pretty tight projects,
Yes.
right? They're high density or they're tight project that you don't have the room to go ahead and do that. It'll be more like a Belmontish or something like that, where there's a more traditional lot of a certain size. But there's so much work that has to be done. We looked at an R2 lot, Jerry and I, live once.
Huntley.
Huntley,
Oh,
there
Huntley
you go.
has an HOA.
Yes.
Well done, well done. There's minimum setbacks, there's minimum square footage size, there's all these particular architecture, all these things have to be worked through. And my opinion is, none of that's going to get decided until after the 2023 election.
You think it's going to be that long?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Changing the zoning ordinances are going to be way more difficult than creating a comp plan. Comp plan's non-obligatory.
Yeah.
It's just a plan.
It's just a guide, right?
Zoning ordinance is the law. And that will take a ton of time and energy. So frankly, we're at the easy part from a practical perspective of this stuff.
Good call, Logan Wells.
Hey, Logan.
Logan Wells is a Kalo? Claylo?
Claylo.
Okay, she said Huntley, guys. Huntley.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping us on our P's and Q's,
Logan, call me. Say hi sometime, will you, please?
Call, give Keith a ring here.
Miss talking to you.
Logan's the best. She watches the program from time to time. Thank you for joining us. We want to give some props to Closure Title for being a part of the show. 2 offices in Charlottesville and Stanton, Keith Smith.
Yeah. Do you want to tackle traffic on that thing?
I mean, I know your take on traffic. Your take is when you upzone and you add more density, that's not necessarily traffic increases.
It's not.
And vehicle congestion.
And you know why? I had a traffic engineer explain this to me because I asked the same exact question, and he says, "So what's happening now, Keith?" I go, "What do you mean?" So these buyers are going out to Buckingham, right? They're going out to Louisa. They're driving an hour away because, frankly, at 279, that's not affordable. So they're going to Buckingham. They're going 45 minutes to an hour out. So now all of a sudden there's a product available for them in Charlottesville. They're still driving to Charlottesville. They're just starting in Charlottesville. So the volume of traffic, because 80% of the people are coming, or 60, whatever the number he gave me, I can't remember exactly, are coming into Charlottesville anyway to work on that end of it. So they're just driving less, but as far as the Charlottesville center goes, the traffic is not going to magically increase because that person is already driving from Buckingham to UVA. So instead of living in Buckingham, they're going to live in Charlottesville and pay taxes, but they're still on the same road. They're not adding any more cars. And that was blew my mind. I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, in that scenario, you're also alleviating some traffic from 20
Correct.
and 53 if they're moving closer and not congesting those roads.
So what he added to that so if you take Belmont and you take a lot and you put 3 units on it, and the family that's living out in Buckingham moves to that and is working at UVA, they're typically not going to drive right to UVA. They're going to take a bus, they're going to take a bike, depending on...
They're going to bike from Buckingham to UVA?
No,
Belmont.
Belmont,
Okay.
right?
All right,
Did I get that back? Did I get that backwards?
Okay, no, now I understand.
Well, let me make sure I got this
yeah,
right.
got
So
it.
if I'm moving from Buckingham to Belmont,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm either walking, I'm biking, or I can take public transportation to UVA. That's assuming I'm working at UVA Hospital or wherever I am at UVA. And that's why traffic won't increase. And that's why when you look at these projects out west and these cities out west and all this stuff is doing it, that's why the traffic hasn't increased. So what people that are against the traffic component are thinking these are new drivers. These are new folks. What turns out is people that instead of moving away, they move closer because instead of spending $200 a month in gas or $300, whatever it is, their monthly costs go down.
Oh, exactly.
Anyway, that
And
was
it does.
that was from a traffic engineer, not me.
Because I did that in 2019 at the end of the year. I went from driving into town every day from Scottsville to living right off 5th Street. And I don't remember what my numbers were, but I ran my numbers because I love some numbers.
Me too.
And the difference was incredible.
So
Your friend Ken Wooten is watching in Pensacola. Kevin Higgins has this question for you guys. And you got 4 states watching you guys on the show. He says, what are your thoughts on the momentum gaining steam to continue restrictions on rental evictions? The government support to property owners has only been distributed at 7% of the money approved to landlords by the government. Do you think a big sell may be coming? He's basically talking foreclosures there.
it's interesting. You want to tackle that before I get into it?
Well, when you said he's basically talking foreclosures, that's when my spidey senses went off because I'm like, I don't know if we're talking foreclosures even with that. Because even if someone needed to sell because they're having a hard time with keeping up for renting or whatever reason, that home has more value than it's ever had, most likely, right? And so we're not necessarily looking at a foreclosure.
So you are recently purchased investment property, right? You
I
are
did.
a newly investment renter.
She's a landlord.
A landlord, thank you.
Yeah.
So how are you looking at it from that perspective? Take your real estate hat off and landlord hat on. So
Oh, God, no.
Good.
No, I have great tenants. They're amazing. I never get to take my real estate hat off, just saying.
Okay.
Quentin, I
why
hope you
you're
heard that.
successful.
Just putting that out there. But no, I have not had any challenges. And this happened in the midst of the pandemic. They moved in March of this year. I bought it in February. So we all went into this eyes wide open. And communication is the key. We had conversations about it. They were vetted just like I would vet anyone anytime I will have future rental properties. And if there are challenges, then they know to come to me first. Don't let it get bad.
So folks are getting to the point where we were at a event on Thursday night, and folks, like when I start walking up to new folks, for whatever reason, they're turning around and walking away. We have a partner, Ally Property Management, with Keller Williams Alliance, and actually Suzanne, who's the principal for that, I had a conversation with her on Thursday, and I want to bring her in because rentals is not my expertise. I would like to bring her in to talk about what she's seeing to answer that question more effectively, so we can save that for a Tuesday or a Monday show to go ahead and do that. I can tell you from the hat that I'm wearing as the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. If you've seen the news, we just received quite a bit of money.
Yes, we did.
From the government that's specifically designed to help this. So if it goes away, there's a pot of money locally that they can help with that. So there's more about that coming, but
Nice.
I think we'll be in good shape. And the
that's
important part about that is they're going to reach out to landlords. And that's going to be a huge difference, that they're going to say, okay, because the tenant may not know what to do with it, but they can reach out to landlords, or landlords can reach out to tap into that.
That'll be great, and hopefully we'll be able to share that information as it becomes
As it comes
a little
in, we'll
more
go ahead
put
and-
together. Because
we'll
I
go
know
ahead
my
and do that.
situation is not necessarily normal. I happen to not be having that challenge, but a lot of people are.
Every property manager I've been speaking with, they do not have. This is very
Nice.
minimal.
That is so good to know.
So to answer your question, Kevin, the experts say we're not going to see a huge increase in inventory tied to forbearance issues, tied to tenants not being able to pay their rent, which would impact landlords being able to pay their mortgage. You guys are saying that is not going to happen.
I don't see that happening. The mom and pop landlord, right? The rents are just going up, right? So there is no, you're going to see that happen when the rents start going down. And if their current tenant isn't paying them, there's probably a half a dozen behind them ready to step in and take it up. So I don't see that
Ray Cadell says
happening.
he's involved in that committee.
Yeah, I know he is.
He's watching right now.
I know.
You got C-suite of Howard
Thank you for
Hanno.
doing that, Ray.
C-suite of Howard Hanno watching
Oh,
the
cool,
program now.
cool.
I'm going to throw this to you guys. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture, and then I'm going to throw it to Nikki. Okay, Nikki, you go anywhere you want with this. Okay, you got interest rates at generational historical lows, even still now.
Oh, yes.
Okay, you have, and I learned this from you. You have we have an inventory issue because new construction has not kept up with demand from millennials and younger looking to get into the home
Has been doing that for well over a decade.
well over a decade, plus 20 years. New construction
Well,
hasn't kept up.
no, it pretty much since the implosion
Okay.
in 2008,
So we'll
2000.
call it 14 years.
Sure.
So about 14 years, okay? You have an incredibly popular area to live in Charlottesville. New York Times just called us the best place to vacation on the East Coast because of our vaccination rates.
Okay.
You got the University of Virginia admitting new students and hiring more people. You got fabulous buildings like Code, Joffrey Woodruff, the Center of Developing Entrepreneurs, coming on market very soon. Dexcom opening up its Charlottesville office in Dairy Central. Chris Henry's building on Preston. You got Willow Tree coming back on market. You got Co-Construct coming back on market, adding more people. So I guess I'm going to throw this to you here.
And you're saying we don't need missing middle.
Low interest rates, not enough inventory. People want to move here. The world's newspapers championing Charlottesville as a phenomenal area, the New York Times. And we don't have enough inventory, which I've already highlighted. What is going to prevent...
You got 5 other you can add to it.
yeah, you want me to keep going? I don't need to. What is going to keep this crazy market from not getting even more steam?
Okay, so first I have to add something to your list of all the things.
Okay.
We can't leave out our military community. They bring a lot of people in and out of here.
Very good call.
We've got NGIC, we've got JAG, we've got all those contractors that support them. So let's just add to that.
Good call.
And then I think,
Restaurants and music.
well,
We
always
love
them.
those.
We love those.
Yeah.
Food and music. Doesn't get better than that. I think a huge part of that is people are just tired of it. People are tired of it. I know my agents are seeing their buyers experience buyer fatigue.
That's exactly right.
They're being much, much pickier about what they're willing to compete on. And they're just saying, hey, we're over it.
So that leads into Lisa Sturtevant's, Dr. Lisa Sturtevant's
Perfect segue.
Nice.
report that she put out, or I took a look at yesterday on it. So hopefully you can tag her or give her a shout out. This is purely from our information. So Fannie Mae home purchase sentiment. So go back to the sentiment thinking that's going on here. And I didn't think of bringing the chart so Judah
This
could.
is Commonwealth-wide, though.
This is Commonwealth-wide.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to dive into it. It's a huge spread. It's the first time that we're roughly a 50 percentage point separation between the two. So if you take a look, which unfortunately I failed to give Judah the slide in enough time, but if you take a look over the course of since 17, it's generally kind of flowing together. We recently, since February, have gone two very different deltas that the buyer and the seller are thinking. The buyer is thinking it's not a good time to sell, and the buyer is also thinking it's not really a good time to buy. So this spread just all of a sudden happened in the last couple of months. I don't really know the reason why. I just felt that this was pretty, and I'm going to reach out
Price
to.
point.
Well, I think it's price point. I think it's multiple things.
It is. It's
Right?
not just price point. It's that fatigue. When they're going
That's the reason
out
I brought it up.
every weekend trying to decide which offers to make and losing time after time,
Well, it's
that'll
demoralizing.
do you in.
It's just demoralizing.
It's hard
that-
enough to buy a house, period. It's not an easy process. It can be, but overall, it's often not. This has made it so much harder.
Have we talked about the impact of the out-of-town buyer yet? And Yona, hello. Good morning, Yona.
Oh, Mrs. Smith is on the train.
Yeah.
No, we haven't, but
Because the out-of-town buyer does not think this is fatigue. The out-of-town buyer who may have sold.
oh, I don't know about that.
You
I'm
think
dealing.
the out-of-town buyer does?
I have a client right now from Arizona.
Yeah.
Sold in Arizona, has cash, has family in Crozet, has a pot of cash, and we've been spending a week together, and we can't find what she wants, and we're going to pivot to a rental, right? And you know, she's gonna kind of keep an eye on what's going on. Who knows? That might all change today, and that's the beautiful thing about this, and that's what I wanted to highlight with this show, is the market is changing this quickly, and things are coming on and off this quickly, and you need a trusted advisor. Everybody that's watching this from the real estate world are trusted advisors. Reach out to them, and they'll help you navigate through this, but that's what you need. You need a navigator today in today's market.
What do you think, Nikki?
Oh, I agree 100% with that. Like, you need somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows the market, who is in this every day.
Keith?
Been preaching that for 2.5 years.
Nicholas Irby says, kudos to Nikki for remembering the military community.
Yeah.
I think you have 6
And
firms watching you guys. That's
And
Nikki's
thank you for doing
influence.
that, Nikki, because we're both vets, fellow
Yes,
vets,
we are.
and I missed that in the beginning. So
It's the only reason I know Charlottesville's on the map. I didn't know it existed until a contractor job opened up here. And it was like, oh, leaving Tampa, heading to Charlottesville.
Donna says, Nikki, once a realtor, always a realtor. It's tough to remove that hat.
and
She totally gets it.
And she's
It's
not
permanently
busting my
affixed.
chops
It's
about
all
the way I
good.
say it.
No, she's
Not today.
She said realtor in all caps.
Yeah.
I would
That is clearly
busting
a
her
dig
chops
towards
little right there. I'm going to make a prediction here, and you guys prove me wrong. The next 6 months, I'll make it even longer. The next 6 to 12 months will be as hot, maybe not quite as hot as the last 6 to 12 months. Would be nearly as hot as the last 12 months.
All right.
What do you prove me wrong?
Yeah, I'll let you go, Nikki. I
Nah.
disagree with that. We have to
We're
define
looking at
hot.
last year was stupid hot. And the beginning of this year has been intense and insane and so competitive. I just don't see that
You think it's
lasting
cool?
over the next, it's got to at least a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be cold.
So
Got no inventory. You got UVA hiring more people.
I want to quote Michael Guthrie, CEO of Roy Wheeler Howard Hanna. He taught me this a long time ago. It's all about listings, and it's all about inventory. And there was a few times that I would push back on that, but he's actually 100% right. It's all about inventory. That right now is just an absolute lack of it, and there's just more buyers as inventory. But we've got this weird thing going on, which is buyer fatigue. It's demoralization. They're cash buyers are losing deals left and right. That's not as much as it used to be. A couple of months ago, it was insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was telling another client, it went from absolute insanity. We're now just in insanity right now, which actually feels good.
Yeah,
Whatever
it's like a
that
break.
means. Who knew? That means something. But, like Neil Williamson says, we just don't have any inventory. There's no new construction inventory. We're going to talk about this with Neil on not this Friday, but next Friday, and Sean. I want to talk to them about what's coming up in Albemarle County. What new projects are coming up? And I'm in this world. There ain't a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
There ain't a lot.
So if the demand is through the roof to live here, which we know it is, and wait till we see what the impact is that the world's newspaper told everyone in the world to go vacation in this area. So people are flooding here because of this New York Times area article to vacation.
This buyer from Arizona is here because of that very article.
Okay, so they come here to vacation. What do you think is going to happen when they come here to vacation? Oh my gosh, this place is freaking amazing. I love it. Why don't I consider moving here? We've seen this happen in the past already. You've emphasized that there is no inventory. There's very little new construction.
And this isn't new, by the way. This has been, at least since I've been here, since '87.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the reason a lot of people have my funny accent around here.
Well, I mean, you guys are the experts. I learn from you guys. I mean, I see this being it might not be as wild as we saw in the back half of 2020, early 2021, but we said that's an anomaly.
Yeah, it's
Well, but see, now you're changing your bet.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's going to be a wild ride. I think the next 6 to 12 months are going to be a wild ride. Multiple offers, low days on market.
I think we're going to balance out somewhere between 18 and 19. When we're done with this year, I don't think we're going to top 2020.
No, you're not going to top 2020.
But I think you're going to get back to a normal. Depending on who determines what normal is, I think you're going to start seeing more like an 18, 19. That's the reason why I keep on going back and comparing to 18 and 19 to see, okay, what was going on in this time frame in 18 and 19 versus 2021 or 20 for sure on that end of it. So I think you're going to get to a little bit more of a balanced market. Interest rates are going to go up. They will go up. Nobody knows when, but it will go up. And I think the what we up to 100 ton now, 100 ton elephant.
Yeah.
I think this Delta variant. I'm not really sure how that's going to impact stuff.
What are your thoughts, Nikki?
Well, as far as the hot market, I feel like you changed your tune a little bit there.
No,
so
same tune.
I don't know. We'll have to watch this and see. But
I changed my tune?
No. Oh no, you're solid, Keith. I'm picking on Jerry right now.
I think
It's
you
his
guys are going
turn.
to stack paper. That's what I think.
I mean, like I said, it's not going to be cold, but I don't think it's going to be like last year and the beginning of this year.
So one of the things that I'd love to get into, particularly as a bunch of real estate agents watching, see, I stay away from realtor. Real estate agents are watching is some of the contract changes, and one in particular is the septic requirements. And what's I found out since a couple of deals we've done since that contract came in place, we have to now add more time to the closing because it's now kind of on steroids a little bit, which actually I think it's really great what they did. I think it's a good thing on it, but we're going to save that for another show and kind of tear into that a little bit.
You're getting prompts right now, Nikki, from Crystal Wooten.
That's my sister.
I know. Where's your sister watching?
She's in Norfolk.
Hi, hello, Crystal. Thank you for watching the program. We really appreciate you watching the show. Yona says she's taking the Amtrak down from Connecticut as we speak. Keep on going. Both buyers and sellers. Just keep on going.
Keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. She's trucking down the Eastern Seaboard.
Man, that's literally the way to do it. If you can do it, that's the way. Take the train back and forth. Love it. Sitting there in a train on our laptop listening to our husband flap his gums.
Stephen Lancaster says, do you guys think that Waynesboro and the other side of the mountain will be softened from a demand standpoint or continue to gain momentum?
I think it's going to, from my perspective, I think it's all going to go to where the inventory can be produced. Right? I think that's what you're going to start seeing. There's a lot of talk about Nelson County. Nelson County is a little difficult from a development perspective because of the topographical layout on that. It's a little challenging from a development end of it. But, I'm in this world, and, from a consulting gig that I do, they're out there looking. People are trying to figure it out. And, if Albemarle County doesn't streamline the process, they're just going to go out. We're now flying till we driving, qualifying, right, on that stuff.
What do you think, Nikki?
I don't know. I think Waynesboro, like Keith was saying, as long as there's going to be some inventory there, it's a great price point. I have people regularly looking in that area, and I know agents who previously had not had buyers looking over the mountain because it's over the mountain, even though it's 20, 30 minutes away, depending on what street you're on, right? So it's not that far at all. But they've had a lot of uptick in going over the mountain to do business. It's not abnormal now.
So one of the counties we're going to look at for our next Monday show, and what we're going to, the intent with the show is to bring in other agents from other agencies to open this conversation.
Yes.
Conversation
Hell of
up.
a lot of firms watching.
So anybody who's watching this on the firm, reach out to Nikki or myself, particularly Nikki.
Yeah, reach out to me.
Nikki's kind of helping with that on this new show. We have an extra seat that we want to encourage other agents to come on in from their perspective to share. So it's not just Keith, Jerry, and Nikki sharing their thoughts on that live. So there's always a vacant seat or an empty seat. Reach out to Nikki and please come join us because we want to hear from other folks. So it's not just the three of us sharing our opinion on that. But what I was going to say, I'm going to look into Buckingham for next Monday.
Nice.
Because I really haven't dug into that too much.
Okay.
And on the other side of the mountain and find out what the trends have been going
Let's
out
do
that
it.
way.
Buckingham
I
County,
look forward to it.
I'm hearing a lot of folks moving out that way.
Yeah.
The price point. It's and that goes back to my argument about the upzoning. If that particular individual is only moving out to Buckingham County because this is where they can afford, and if they can afford something in Belmont through this upzoning or this missing middle thing, and it's pretty much a no-brainer depending on where they are in their
Taxes are a lot lower
life.
there too.
I'm sorry?
Taxes are a lot lower there too, so that gives them more affordability built in
Sure.
to that pricing.
But they're spending it in fuel. Big time.
And their time,
possibly,
time.
yes.
45, 50 minutes to the epicenter of employment. That can never be duplicated.
I just
replaced.
put my truck in for its 70,000 service, and I went, that was not cheap. So that is the maintenance expenses on top of it, the actual payments and.
Well, these
time.
are all huge pieces to that conversation, that larger affordability conversation.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
This has been great.
The Monday Market Monitor, presented by Closure Title. 2 offices in Charlottesville and Stanton, 3 licensed title insurance agents, and 5 closers on staff. Closure Title, Nikki Chambers.
So this is exciting. This is a sister show to our Real Talk on that end of it. So it's just a whole new show. We're going to give this a shot. It was going to be very much so laser focused on real estate and numbers and markets and what's going on and getting feedback from fellow realtors and real estate agents and so forth and so on. Tomorrow we're going to do a little Batman and Robin. I got something planned for you tomorrow, and then Friday we've got a roundtable coming up on it. But this is something new, and thank you, Nikki, for joining us. That we're trying to focus purely on what has been going on for the last 7 days, what's going on the weekend, and we really, really want feedback from other real estate professionals, please.
How do you think your second show went?
I love it.
Yeah.
As long as you guys are happy, we're all good.
We're happy.
I'm ecstatic.
And QB, as long as he's happy.
Quentin
We
Beckham.
care about that too.
Yeah, well, we just get this guy Smith to shut up and everything will move along.
We'll see you guys at 12:30 with the I Love Seville show. Tomorrow at 10:15 with Real Talk. We'll have a good time.
What do you got today?
Myself.
Awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, me solo.
I like
Yeah.
him. I love your Monday shows.
I get a lot of feedback on running them solo and just giving the Jerry perspective.
I love your Monday shows because it's obvious. I mean, I spent a few hours prepping for today, but I know that you're prepping all weekend long for that Monday show. So,
I just read everything. And we got the New York Times article that came out. Did you see the New York Times article over the weekend?
I
I have
did
not had an
not.
opportunity to read that yet.
They're writing about the impact of upzoning in the city of Charlottesville.
Nice.
Really?
The political dichotomy of upzoning in the city of Charlottesville in the world's newspaper.
So how does that
this
happen?
weekend.
How does it make it to there?
How it makes it to there is because Charlottesville is still on the national stage for all the A12 stuff that we're dealing with.
There you go.
And New York Times has got a lot of folks on staff that went to the University of Virginia.
Okay, now
So they
that
follow
makes
Charlottesville closely. But we'll talk about that today on the I Love Seville show,
cool.
the New York
I'm
Times article.
looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Nikki, you crushed it.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Keith
you.
Smith. Judah Wickhauer. Guys, this is the Monday Market Monitor on the I Love Seville Network. You guys have a good one. Take care. Nicely done, Nikki.
Thank
Well
you guys
done, Nick.
so much for having me.
Yeah.